Okay, I think that's working. Before I get started today on this bit, I'll explain in a minute. I figured I'd take a minute and explain a little bit about this stream and who I am, if you don't already know who I am, and why I'm still wearing this blue shirt. So my name is Ian Klein. Most of you probably know me as David Linke, and that's because a couple years ago I wrote this little dribble, little young adult fiction. And some of you might know me as Blurry Dude from the Blurry Dude show. Also, we did a movie because I like doing random stuff. I do a bit of woodworking. I do a bit of carpentry, like framing, cabinetry, that sort of thing. A lot of joinery work. And I also do some painting, some writing. I play a couple different musical instruments. So that's pretty much me. Very, very liberal guy. So just so you know, probably won't come up, but you know, if that makes you uncomfortable, that's good. Also, I don't like country. This is not a country hat. This is a boonie read-up. That's been a recent thing. Cuts back in, something like that. Sorry. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I am, by day, a software engineer, for those of you who don't know. So that's what I do. I write software, and I hope to one day not write software anymore, because I've been doing it for a very long time. I also went to school for physics, though I have not completed my physics degree because life, and I decided to go get a physics degree in my 30s. Anyway, I do have a computer science degree, and it means pretty much dimp to me at this stage in my life, which is why I'm doing this stream, because I have lots of toys I want to play with and experiment with, and random thoughts in my head that I figured I would kind of impose on the public, if anybody is actually interested in that sort of thing, or watching me do this sort of thing. This is not going to be a very New Yankee workshop or anything. I'm probably not going to explain much. I don't talk much when I do these things, despite having a talk show for 8 years. But and you'll actually have to see all the boring stuff that you don't see during things like New Yankee Workshop. If you don't know what New Yankee Workshop is, look it up. I don't care who you are. Norm Abrams is cool. He's like the Bob Ross of woodworking, except occasionally does things that might cost you a finger. And in addition, yeah, I should probably say that too. I will occasionally do things that may or may not cost me a finger. Feel free to point it out. Don't be a dick about it, please. I will try to keep safety in mind at all times and, set a good example. I like coffee and cigarettes, so those two examples are probably not good examples, but as far as not putting out an eye, cancer, okay, but putting out an eye, we have equipment, POE for that, so, or PPOE, I guess. Anyway, all right, so now this is the universe telling me I should be wearing that right now. The shirt. So this is my shop shirt. It's when it's chilly out here, which right now I think it's Galaxy Gear won't wake up degrees. 48 degrees outside, so it's a little chilly. It's a little warmer in the garage, of course, and I'm protected from the wind. But this is what I wear when I'm doing dirty stuff. I have this and a couple other shirts that I don't particularly care about anymore. So if you see me wearing the same shirt, I didn't like shoot everything in one day and be weird and stream it live for some reason. It's because I'm lazy and a bit of a bum, actually. So there's that. All right, so usually I do these things without knowing anything about what I am about to do. Today is a little bit different. Today is my birthday. And also I want to shout out to Markeisha and Matt. You guys rock. So I wasn't going to do a stream, but my wife had to take my son to some testing. It's still a weekday for everybody else in the world, so I decided to go ahead and do a short stream, and this is one of those moments where I'm going to anti-norm Abram. I have to go all the way over here across the my garage, and grab some examples here. So you may have noticed in several of the pictures, I hope you guys can still hear me. Several of the pictures have a really beautifully crafted, I say that because it's me, stem. And that stem looks a little something like this. You will have seen this picture probably first. This is the hammer. And then you will have seen the transporter, maybe, even though I think I only put it on Instagram. I don't know if I put it on the Etsy. And then you will have seen the bell, which is recent. I just did this yesterday. The cherry on this. I love this little sunburst right here. That's perfectly natural. I didn't do anything. It all has the same coat of oil. Anyway, back to the stem. This is in fact the same stem on all three of these pipes, which is going to be a problem if I sell them. So today I decided, instead of messing with the acrylic, which stinks, and after turning that larger piece yesterday and having it chip all over the place because my tools are not the sharpest tools in the shed, I decided I should probably mass manufacture a few stems that are just nice, simple little guys like this. I might even take this little rim out, this little lip here, and taper the whole thing. The trick here, of course, being that I will have to grab it with the step jaw chuck when I'm done to bore it. I thought about boring it beforehand, but since I have to come at it from both sides, because I'm going to extend this, I'm going to make it a 5-inch stem. I have 2.5 inches to work with on the bit, a little bit more like 2 3/4. So I figured I would just attack it from both sides, which means I will have to grip it from both ends. One of the reasons why I'm not boring it is because I will be using this soft maple that I just bought. I love maple. I really do. I love working with it. I love the smell of it, the feel of it, the look of it. Very versatile wood. I'm even making maple baseball bats, although it's not my favorite thing to do, and streaming it would be even more boring than this because it's just so much roughing. Anyway, the fear here with trying to, I'll be cutting this. I have the chop saw right here. I'll be cutting this in a moment down to 5-inch pieces to turn on the lathe. The fear here is that the diameter of this wood will not allow me to grip it with the step jaw chuck at its maximum safe, which is, I think, 2.5 inches on this 3-inch step jaw chuck. But anyway, so instead I am going to bore them, and I might go ahead and just rough them down to cylinders, then go ahead and go over and throw them into the step jaw, bore them, and then detail them to get rid of the tool marks. It'll take a little bit longer. The video will be that much more exciting. So that's the plan. So let me get my apron and whatnot on, get my coffee safely away from the sawdust zone over here. Safely is a relative term. A little bit of sawdust never hurt anybody. I'm going to get comments on the YouTube channel for saying that. I already know it. People will be like, I was turning some Asian ebony gabor and breathing in the fumes, and it was toxic. Look, don't work with things you don't know anything about. All right, let's just put it that way. Not that I'm not doing that right now, but my knowledge is general, but safe enough. Okay, so let me switch this thing over. Fail. There we go. And the 2 junk bikes. Anybody wants to come and get them, you have them. One of them has a motor on it. I don't know why. It's not my bike. It was abandoned in my garage, and so is therefore get rid of the bull. Okay, so this is going to be noisy. Oh, I should probably turn the vacuum on before I start doing this. The last time I did this, I got sawdust all over the place, wondered why, and realized I hadn't turned on the vacuum. Because I'm kind of smart sometimes, but other times, yeah. Okay. Alright, that worked pretty good. Some of you probably wonder, why was he going so slow through the wood? Well, the reason that I was going so slow through the wood, number one, is my blade needs sharpened a bit. The other reason is I'm actually using a 48 tooth blade on purpose and going very, very slow so that I end up with a nice, pretty, even, smooth edge on the end of that wood. A little bit of there when I get quick at the end, but that's okay because we're turning it and that'll be gone. So here we have 6 blanks. One's a little bit longer than the others. It still has the mark on it, so I know how much to take off. If I want to bore it, I might turn it into a pipe later, who knows. So let me get the tools switched out. This is the really exciting part of the video. The bit where I have to do some heavy lifting. I'll probably drop something. Might hurt myself. You never know. So if you're into NASCAR, stay tuned. I only have so many outlets for my tools at present because I do not have the power bar from my office. And I'm actually going to install a desktop or a bench top power bar when I build the bench, which I'll probably post pictures of the plan if I haven't already, which I might have. I don't know. Anyway, I'll repost pictures of the plan for the new bench, which will house a permanent home for the router and the table saw, making furniture videos a lot easier. In addition to having a 6-foot outfeed, which is really, really nice when you're working with panels and really long stock. All right, now, the lathe. I'm gonna use the little lathe because, well, it's more versatile and I like it. And it goes on camera a little bit easier. Though it is not the lightest tool in the shop. Fun fact, the big green meanie, the big lathe, is 180 pounds. And I got it up on its legs by me onesies. Mostly using a block and tackle. Just because I didn't feel like dropping a giant cast iron bar on my foot. Alright. Let's find the center on these. Looks like they're pretty well cut, but I'm still going to do all 4 sides to be safe. For those of you who don't know how to find the center, you get one of these guys. This is a center finder. On one side you have a 45-degree angle, on the other I believe this is a 30, could be 27.5, I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. You use this side for round things, and it gives you the, no matter where you are, and use this side for squares. But what I always do is I always like to snug it up against and push with, decide on a finger. You can either use this finger or this finger, but make sure that you're flush against one of the edges over the other consistently as you turn it, because sometimes these aren't cut very evenly, and so you'll end up with kind of a rhombus sort of thing going on, and this will help you find the center on the wood and not wobble your lathe to death. So just go around. This one looks like it's pretty close. It's still a little off. You can see that. You can see that there. This way, it looks like it was pretty good, but the other way, I've got two separate lines, so that tells me that those were not quite square. Now, on a smaller piece like this, especially since I'm going to take it down so far, it really doesn't matter as much because the roughing process will take care of it. But that wobble, one of the things that wobble can cause is your tool to jump a little bit as you're digging into the wood. And when your tool jumps, it comes away from the material and then comes back into the material a little bit more aggressively before it bounces back. And you end up with these little striations, these little divots in the wood after you're done turning. Which again, doesn't really matter as much in the roughing stage, and if you're aggressive enough with a good roughing gouge, you don't even have to worry about it. But also having a nice big solid tool rest helps. This one was actually pretty much perfect. Okay, a lot of times you can tell, I mean, just by the surface of the blank when you get it, whether or not it's been properly milled or not. These have been properly milled. They're entirely too smooth to just be roughs. But you still want to find the center anyway, because, that's physical applied math, and you can't argue with math. I could probably just pull it back. I have a tendency of overextending my tailstock a little bit. Sometimes I do that on purpose if I need the extra clearance for the tool rest whenever I have a smaller piece. Now is not one of those times. And tighten it just to the point where the spur drive teeth bite in, if I can get it that far without the tool rest. Sometimes you got to work it a little bit and then tighten down. And sometimes you don't want the teeth to bite in cases where if your tool gets stuck, you'd rather it spin out. Now that's just my own experience. I don't know if there's any official rule for that. Official, unofficial, or otherwise. I am, however, going to move this a little bit closer to my tool pallet. And I will adjust the... Oh, well, I guess I don't have to adjust the view. A little bit, maybe. Yeah, that's not any better, but okay, here we go. I'm going to start with the big 1-inch round, since I don't have a roughing gouge. Oop, see, there you go. That is officially too loose and driving me insane. I should have just, I don't have a center punch. Normally you use a center punch, which digs into the wood a little bit and lets the mandrels, the center of the mandrels, get a little bit deeper before they start smushing the wood and the wood gets too compressed to allow it to go any further, which is why it wasn't in the spur gear in the first place. decisive with this, so I'm going to switch to my round scraper here. Don't ever do this yourself, it's bad. Don't move the tool rest while the work is spinning. At least I'm told that that's what you're not supposed to do. I know my lathe. Okay. We have a significantly larger edge here, which is why we're getting that little wobble. Once that's gone, we'll be fine. I think I might switch back to the skew, or the round. Okay. Now, of course, I'm going to have to take it down much further than that, so I'm going to be aggressive when I do that. But this gives me something I believe I can clamp onto with the step jaw chuck, so I can bore out the stem. Yep. Yep. That would be safe. Okay, so let's switch this out. Now, I had to move my laptop in order to get closer to the Wi-Fi. So I don't know how well this is going to work, but we will try it. Pretty good, actually. Not too bad. All right. Anyway. Apparently got it switched. There we go. All right, first thing I need to do is get this guy out of here. Where is my ramrod? And we have situations like this. Always keep your fingers clear of the mandrel. You have to give them too much business. Sometimes they can come out with some speed. And that little sharp bit there, that's a very sharp bit there. And the nice thing about the tailstock, for those of you who don't know, is you don't have to do that with that. You just have to get the tailstock loose for one. Boy, I really had that in there. Baseball bats are a pain. Okay, so the really cool thing about the tailstock, see, is all we have to do is back it out far enough, and it just pushes it right up. Switch for this guy, just forward a little bit. Get the tines out of the way. Nice. And I always give this a few taps. Just to make sure that it's not going anywhere and it doesn't start spinning when I start working. I don't know what I've knocked over. I think it was my caliper set. And that's fine. Okay, now we're not going to need this guy because we're not doing that kind of thing. Leave him out of the way over here. I don't know why it's a him. Probably being sexist. All right. Now, hopefully, this back edge, I think when I was spinning it, looked like it was pretty evenly cut. I guess we might have a tad bit of a wobble, but you know. I'll use the ultra precision technique of putting a drill bit in here and then running it forward and seeing if it looks centered or not. And if it doesn't, I'll move it around a bit. And if it does, I'll continue as planned. However, I didn't put the bit on my lathe pallet. get coffee. Probably need a cigarette too. When I smoke and do this, it's really bad for my wallet, but probably better for my lungs because the ashtray smokes 90% of my cigarettes. So, you know, don't smoke, kids, or something. I mean, unless you're embittered by a shitty economy, even shittier government, in which case, what? You don't agree? Ozymandias is over there voicing his opinions. He was a firm Bernie supporter. Yeah, I know you were. I'm not disagreeing with you. He and I, we share a lot of the same values, which is good in a relationship. Yeah. I think we may differ on religious beliefs, but you know, I'm more of a Taoist. He's more of a Hindu. He thinks cows are closely related to him because he's got spots. Oh, also, plugging your machine in makes it a little bit more dangerous, but much more effective. Right. I guess I could, well, do it. That looks like this. Oh. Also, plugging in the correct machine. I'd say I'm not normally this absent-minded, but I don't want to lie to you guys right out of the gate. Yeah, it's good to me. Let's do it. Every now and then back the bit out, relieves the tool and the work. You don't want a whole lot of heat building up in there. This is in fact how they started early fires. You know, something like this. It was a little less automated. But I can tell you from prior experience, this method does still work. As a matter of fact, more effective. So make sure you relieve your work. Oh, also, make sure your lathe handle isn't coming off. My old suicide knob here is checking out on me. I'll just... He talks about starting fires and then he blows on the hot part with all the ashes and whatnot. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why I don't teach shop. Well, that and I'm highly underqualified. I don't know if you guys can actually hear me over the machine. But I can say it's probably best if you don't. Wrong way. No. Right the first time. Also, if you don't talk to your tools, they'll get mad at you. Sometimes I get mad at you anyway. Particularly this thing. So I like this machine. I actually got it from Harbor Freight, I admit. And for the most part, I love it. But the tailstock clamp on it is, yeah. I think I mentioned in another video I lost a little retaining ring that goes on the other side of this. Oh, you can't see that. All right, well, anyway, the lever's gone. Let's just put it that way. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this little spindle from coming off. I don't have a thing handy to tighten it, or I would. Actually felt like it gave, which is good, because that means that we've met in the middle. Sometimes, particularly with harder grained woods, more unevenly grained woods, maybe you get a knot. As you're boring through, you can actually, on these thinner bits, you can deflect the bit just so, and it'll kind of, go off like that. And that's undesirable. Okay, that feels bad, but it could just be gunk. I think it was gunk. Yes, we have. I think we actually need to go a little bit deeper because one side there's a restriction, the air is going through it. Don't worry, I don't lip all of my products, just most of them. And look, if you can't share a bowl with me, then probably shouldn't be buying my stuff. As a joke, for anybody who might take that too seriously and report me to somebody, who cares? And that is also another thing that should happen. So that was embarrassing. But, whatever. Make sure I get a good clamp on that. Don't get me wrong, not a whole lot of damage this could do if it came off. a horrible thing to say. Safety first, everybody. Yeah. Yep, that thing was annoying. So when I said that I was going to do a bunch of these stems, what I really meant was one. And even that at this point is a maybe. Kidding, of course. Okay. Perfect. Yay. All right. So now I'm going to switch back over to the little lathe to finish up the outside. And this will actually make it chuck really nice, or not really nice, because I have a, oops, dropped something. Right. That's a common sound that you will hear in my shop. So, you know, judge me if you want. This is something I'm working on. Oh well, I think I did a video of it. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure it out. They can't all be zingers, according to Primus. Let's do the smart thing before we put the table on our way. I'll switch out the power. Disconnecting the, oh wait, well that's still plugged in. Okay, and then unplug the vacuum, because that's the least important thing really. Have to move a bunch of stuff around. If anybody is still watching this video at this point, by the way, first off, that's amazing. I didn't know I was that interesting. Yeah, thanks for hanging out and, you know, watching me do weird stuff. Right now it's mostly pipes and stuff on the lathe, but I'll be doing furniture videos once I get the bench, workbench set up. And I mean, you never know what I could do. I might do a painting video, I might do a sculpting video, do clay. You never know. I like doing weird stuff. Wish I wouldn't have stored these boards there, because that was a stupid idea. Okay, we're back to this view. This is why I wear an apron. You know, sometimes it's because I like pockets. You know, there's a safety factor, but primarily it's so that you guys don't have to look at my crotch. That's why I chose to wear it. I have sawdust all over my laptop. That's probably going to avoid the warranty. Okay, so let's get this piece put in here. It should pretty much already be about right because, well, I know that was weird, but I like keeping things consistent, putting the spur gear where it was and all that. Oh yeah, that clamped down much nicer. Okay, put that in there. Now, I think I'm actually going to put the mouth of the stem on this end so I can flip it over and rough it, or rough it here and then flip it over and do the detail work on this end, but I'll try to get the detail work on this part done first. Here we go. Getting aggressive. and switch to my scraper here. I guess I should decide on a diameter here. Yeah. There's something stubborn in the wood. Now, let me grab my fallen caliper here, check my pocket hole bit here. It should be able to pass through that, and it can't yet. More off of that. Alright. And dig. Okay, I lied. I'm not going to make this just a basic stem. I have an idea. I know most of you are thinking, what's he doing so close to that spur gear? I'm risking my fingers. Ooh. And that's why you don't do that. Good job. Okay. Now that I've oopsied once at least, and I actually think that I'm not going to have to switch that around. No, although, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and switch it around because I want to finish it from the other direction. And I can take the opportunity to get rid of this excess meh on the end of this. It's a woodworker's turn. Okay, so this time, I'm going to try not to be a dick. Failing rarely good. Now, go get another piece of personal nose protection equipment. And since I will be talking like Darth Vader for the rest of the time, I will just not speak. You know what I'm doing. Now, the reason that I wear a respirator when I'm sanding is because I don't like sneezing and bloody noses and that sort of thing. And I don't care who you are, you get enough sawdust up your schnoz, you're going to get a bloody nose. I don't like it. That and, you know, I mean, what goes up your nose goes into your bloodstream. The 80s taught us that, 70s and 80s. So, you know, I'd rather not have maple coursing through my veins. My body's got better things to do than absorb that much wood. bucket for Mom as a garden for compost. Although I think I accidentally tainted it with acrylic, so that one's getting thrown out. But anyway, so there it is. There's the stem. I think that's going to conclude the stream because I've been on here for God only knows how long, and I'm probably boring anyway. But there it is. Oh well, and before I go, let's try it on a pipe. I'm thinking that that is the perfect candidate for the bell, although it will definitely. Okay, well then again, maybe not, because it does stick out quite a bit there at the bottom. It doesn't go very deep, so maybe I'll come up with a different one for the bell. Yeah, it's kind of beefy, isn't it? I like it though. I like it. Maybe it's a better candidate for. I'm gonna have to shave that down quite a ways after it rests. That's a set your hair on fire kind of situation there. I'm gonna switch this camera here. So that'd be rough business. Kind of works. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, and again, I really need to loosen up that. Yeah, no, that's a tad bit on the ridiculous side, actually, is what that is. A 5-inch, lipping. All of my pipes are personally lipped. Hang on. Now I have to experiment a little bit, because one of the things, embarrassingly, that I did on this piece, those of you who are paying attention or care, this is the bowl for two, sans the two part, because remember I was telling you about that deflection issue earlier. I had that happen in the mate for this stem, which disappoints me because they were identical, but on the inside the other one didn't work. So really it was a bowl for one shady individual and another disappointed individual. Could have made it a game, you spin it, whoever, you get the... Anyway, well, that looks a little better. I don't know if it really follows the little step down motif I've got going on here. So you know what that means. What that really means is now I need to make a pipe appropriate for this stem. And I'm still without two other stems for the pipes. So whichever one of these three pipes gets purchased first gets the nifty little guy. So this is what I started out in mind. This is what I ended up with. I kind of Tim Allen'd that a little bit. But there you go. There it is. All right, I'm going to stop boring everybody, and I probably will turn a few more things. Maybe I'll stream it. I'll stop this one, start another one just for archival. I don't know. Or if anybody watching is really that bored and wants to continue watching me play with my wood. See you later.